Hello and welcome back to Creepy and Kooky. I have a special return guest, Alex the Cemetery Seeker. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
We are here at Rose Hills Memorial Park, and this is a beast. I think I knew this was kind of big thanks to him, but apparently we've driven halfway through and I feel like we drove 2 miles.
biggest
I'm not sure I'm
home in
exaggerating.
Southern California.
That's wild. I'm gonna flip it around in a minute. There's a view of LA, even though we're kind of far from LA, so that's cool. There's a few more iconic people than I realized here, so I'm excited about that. I'm Lauren-Blair Donovan. I did not introduce myself, and I got Lady Grimmy as almost always. I actually did a cemetery without her recently, the only time. So, because we were at Forest Lawn, Glendale, and we were going to go to the secret areas. And I know Forest Lawn's already weird about dogs, so I was like, we're going to leave her. But she's back in action, and you know this place pretty well, right?
I am here several times a week to visit, to work, to just explore. I love it here.
Yeah.
There is so much history. There are so many different sections. It's so beautiful here. I love coming here.
I love it. If you missed the first video with him, go back and watch it. He's in the death industry, so this is gonna be a good episode, guys. It always is. And I'm being a tourist right now. I'm not even like doing my job and talking. I'm just looking around at all the views. It's crazy how big it is. So we're gonna get going because we have a day ahead of us.
Let's go.
Heat wave in October too. 90 degrees, of course. We got Bryan Gregory of the Cramps, which I know the Cramps, but I don't know his name. I'm really bad sometimes with bands I like, knowing all the bandmates. So I'm excited that Alex knew that he was here because I do like the Cramps.
If you don't know who the Cramps are, they went viral for their song The Goo Goo Muck in the Wednesday Netflix series.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But he wasn't a part of the band at that point. He was a founding member, and then he left after their first album when they were like more of a psychobilly punk band.
Gotcha.
Than like a horror punk.
Right.
He was a very interesting individual. He had this like blonde streak of hair, and I think he was their bassist. And I still remember I watched this behind the scenes documentary with him because I was trying to get footage for my Instagram, and everyone's like, we're so excited to be doing this, this is a big thing for us, and the camera comes to him and he's like, I don't care.
Oh man, how punk rock of him. I love it.
Right.
I actually really like his grave because it's like musician, artist, father, friend. I like it when it's complete. I hate it when it's just beloved, or like Curly from the Three Stooges has nothing about his career. John Ritter has nothing about his career. It's okay to put musician, artist, like, let's remember you for who you are. But it's cool that you were a family and friend guy too.
Fly on Little Wing. And then I've seen this little symbol between his dates. I wasn't really sure what it is. Now that I look at it, I think that's like an abstract picture of him, because he had this like, you know how the Misfits have that long knot in front of their
Yes.
I think that's him, his blonde streak and just his eye poking out.
Oh, that would make sense. I can see that.
Oh, Bryan Gregory.
May he rest. Thank you for showing me, because this is cool. So loud. We're near kind of the grave of the yellow Power Ranger whose character name was Trini Kwan.
Thuy Trang.
That was her real name. You guys know me, I can't pronounce anything to save my life. Can you explain, like, because she's not marked, right?
No, she was cremated, and her ashes are either scattered or interred here, but there is no marker for her.
Right. And so, like, where the fountain was, which I just showed, it's really loud. You can still hear it from here, probably. It's thunderous, as you called it. It's so pretty. It's one of the prettiest water features I've seen. I think it's a really cool section of the cemetery, but it's, like, jarring. Oh, it's quieting.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nope. It's
there it is.
Picking up again. Why is it so loud?
I have no idea. That propulsion, when it comes out, you know, and when it hits the water, it creates that, like, pocket of air, and you just hear this thudding over and over again.
It's just so wild because it's, like, a lot of water, like width-wise, but it's not like a water fountain from stories. Like, it's like, what? But, I mean, if that is her resting place, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very pretty. You know, it hits you right in the eardrums.
Yeah.
If you get close enough, you feel the vibration. It's very overpowering sometimes in a good way, you know.
Or ASMR for people, maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll do ASMR cemeteries. We'll just go to the different sounds of cemeteries and start an ASMR cemetery channel. How about that?
I very much tried that during the hurricane.
Oh,
remember I went to Calvary.
The hurricane.
The nice sprinkle.
Yeah, it was a breeze. It was a breeze and a little sprinkle Hillary back in August. And yeah, we were supposed to go. We delayed our video by a week, and I've never been funnier than during that hurricane because I used to live in Florida and I've seen real hurricanes. So
fair enough.
My comedy mic was on that whole whopping 12 hours. But did you watch the Power Rangers?
I did. I was Billy and my brother was Jason, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, fun. I like them all, I feel like.
Really?
I think I had a crush on Tommy, though. The green/white one. Maybe he rests too. Yeah. He was a smoke show. But I liked both of the girls a lot, too, because it was fun to see girls kicking ass with boys. Yeah. So I liked both. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch any of the iterations after the original, really, I don't think. But it caught me a little bit when I was young.
I was a diehard Power Rangers fan growing up. Me and my brother, we were both just very much into it. He loved Jason. He loved Tommy. You know, the Green Ranger turned into the White Ranger.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up with this kind of stuff. I was 5 years old watching that show when it first came out.
Yeah.
You know? And when I first came here and I heard that she was interred here, it's one of the first places I came to visit.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's just this piece of my childhood.
It's weird when, like, our childhood people, they're not dying off yet, but there's a few, you know, and we're not old enough to, like, panic. Like, I don't like it when my parents' generation's more and more dying off. Like, I don't know if she was the greatest person, but I took Kirstie Alley's death weirdly hard, you know, because my mom loved Cheers and those Look Who's Talking movies, so it kind of felt like another piece of my mom dying, and I feel that way, too, when the family friends die off, too, and they're not old enough to be, like, all dying, but it's, like, the mortality check.
Absolutely.
You know, but then when it's people not our age, they were older than us, the Power Rangers, but like aspirationally our age, kind of like the group we looked up to. It's like, ooh, I don't like it. I was creeped out when Dustin Diamond died of Saved by the Bell.
He died?
Yeah, Screech died.
Oh, what?
Like a year or two ago. I forget if it was 21 or 22.
Oh,
but
terrible. I don't know how I missed that one.
It was quick. He had cancer and it was aggressive and it was very, I'm so sorry to break the news. Oh my God. I don't think he's buried around. I don't remember what became of him, but I think he died in Michigan or Florida. He wasn't really living in California by the end, and he was troubled, but you always want people to turn it around.
Yeah, I remember him he's obviously Saved by the Bell, but then he would show up on MTV sometimes, and
those VH1 celebrity reality shows, like Celebrity Fit Club, and
it wasn't great. And again, it was one of those things. Just you were always rooting for him, like, please turn it around because we loved you growing up.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I feel bad for all child stars, no matter how well adjusted or not they are. I just feel like some just didn't have it was a perfect storm of circumstances why anyone ends up the way they are, and so. But the differences with child actors is all of their sins and crimes and other just things up for debate get played out in the media. Yeah. And that just sounds awful to sentence your child to being in the public eye for the rest of their life, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, you know,
I don't like it.
I hate to plug myself, but,
do it.
You know, talking about, like, child stars, I just did a video on the Little Rascals.
Right.
And Scotty Beckett, who was a little rascal. You know,
Was he Spanky?
No, he was Scotty. He was Scotty. He was
okay.
Spanky's buddy. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And everything. And it's just so crazy because here's this group of child stars, and they all met an untimely end in
a lot of them did. Yeah.
Just one after the other. I looked up every single one of them. Like, can you please tell me somebody had a good life? You know, because Carl Alfalfa Switzer.
That was bad.
Very early, very young. Darla Hood. She had a good life and a good career, but she passed at 48 from contaminated blood during an appendicitis surgery.
Oh, you know? That's right.
And you know, Scotty Beckett was one of my favorites growing up, because my dad used to rent the Our Gang cassette tapes for me constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked him up because I wanted to see what his life was like afterwards. He was actually a successful actor. He was very successful. He came out in movies with Cary Grant and Marilyn Monroe, and he was doing well, but then just he was his own worst enemy. You know, he was too popular and too involved in the party scene, and it just ate away at him. And each arrest got worse. At first it was a DUI, then it was domestic violence, then it was, hey, he was found in the bottom of a hotel basement with a weapon and cash, and the hotel was just robbed. And then he fled to Mexico and wrote a bad check and had a shootout with police, and came back and then got arrested again for smuggling across international borders. And it was like, what is going on? You know, that was probably one of the worst cases of a child actor gone wrong that I could think of.
Because even the ones that lived a while, like Robert Blake, not an uncheckered past, not a life of not controversy. You know, like it's. I looked it up somewhere that we're going to see Froggy's grave, so maybe we'll talk more about that then. But apparently, statistically, it's not that different than like some other demographic. But it's, again, it plays out in the media. And you bring up an excellent point. Whether they lived a long time or not, there's a lot of controversy with a lot of them, and I think that is due to, you know, childhood stardom gone wrong.
Yeah, so. And at the time, you know, now to be fair, there was no playbook on... No,
not at that time, for sure, yeah.
There was no playbook on transitioning out of childhood fame, you know. That's the crazy thing. It's somebody has to do it first, right?
Yeah. And that's why, it's sad when people get lampooned for being the first and not knowing and all that. But at least, you know, our yellow Power Ranger... she died tragically because I think it was a car accident, I believe.
Yeah, I loved her so much the more I researched her. You know, at the time when I was a kid, I was like, ew, girls, I don't want... But the more I looked her up, she had gone through so much. You know, her father was I think he was a general in the Vietnamese army.
That sounds right.
And after the fall of Saigon, they had to flee the country. And
oh, wow.
They fled here in a cargo ship and claimed political asylum. And she beat out, like, thousands of other entrants to be the Yellow Power Ranger.
Yeah, I bet.
And she was really one of the first, like, Asian superheroes.
Yeah.
For children. You know,
it was great representation for the 90s, especially.
Yeah, I have Asian siblings.
Yeah.
You know, and they were very much, you know, they loved the Yellow Ranger. It represented my sister in a way that nobody else could.
Right.
You know? So
right. Representation matters.
Absolutely. I got beat up by my sister growing up because of the Yellow Power Ranger, you know, and she's still a strong woman to this day. And, you know, when you have role models like that to look up to from such a young age, you know, and not just on screen, like, but behind the screen too, because she walked out of her contract with the Power Rangers because her and Billy, it might have also been Walter Emmanuel Jones, but
the Black Ranger, right? Yeah.
They had a big pay discrepancy.
That's right, because they were gay and minorities.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Yes. You're right. Yeah, and, which is ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. And they took a stand and they walked out and they were replaced, but they stuck to their morals. And she had been doing well. She was in one of the Crow movies.
That's right. Yeah, she was like a working actress, and who knows what would have been, because she was like 28 to 32, right?
She was 27.
She was 27. Okay, I highballed her. Woo, that was younger than I thought. For some reason, I thought a little closer to 30, give or take a few years.
27 club. Yes, she was,
27.
I believe it was the bachelorette weekend for one of her friends.
That's what it was, yeah.
And, yeah.
What a terrible... I feel so bad for everyone who, like, lived or, like, knew them. Because, like, what a bummer for the wedding. Do you know what I mean? It was bachelorette weekend and people die. Like, that's going to put a cloud over your wedding no matter what.
Well, I think the bride was paralyzed from the accident afterwards, too.
Oh, that makes sense. Life is hard. Just be nice to people. Drive safe.
Absolutely.
Like, I know that's, like, such a Captain Obvious thing, but... we don't do enough good enough job of just treating people well and trying to keep it safe for everyone. And I don't know, what a shame. She was beautiful and talented, so who knows what would have been.
What would have been. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Just such a promising career. And
yeah. Well, may she rest if she's here or scattered elsewhere or what.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to meet you through here, I guess. You're our childhood. Okay, this is more epic than I was expecting. This is amazing. Eric Wright, Eazy-E, godfather of gangster rap. We loved him, but God loved him more. This is insane. I love this so much. This is like one of my favorites because it's so vivid. It's so colorful. It's so like... you could see it from space, kind of, almost. Like, it's not that big, but it's just so bold and, like, the color scheme. And I really love this. Like, you know who this was. Even if you don't know who Eazy-E is, you know who this was.
Exactly. His story gets told right there on his epitaph.
It's, like, clearly 80s, 90s gangster rap.
That's true.
And, like... owned it. Like, this is who he was. This is who he was supposed to be. No questions asked.
Exactly.
Whatsoever. So are you an NWA/Eazy-E fan?
I would be such a poser if I said, oh yeah, I've been about that now. Just, my brother was a big fan, and this is the first grave I visited, and I sent it to him. He's like, Easy! And he really turned me on to his music. So, Boys in the Hood. Straight out of Compton, you know. I know my minimal history from, you know, in passing, but,
yeah,
you know, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
My first time I came to Rose Hills, this is so embarrassing. I was doing a funeral here, right? And I was walking around afterwards, just like, I hear Eazy-E's here, and this headstone is new, right?
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't here at the time. So I was walking around.
He hasn't always had this headstone?
No, it used to be it used to be much smaller.
Interesting.
And it just said, you know, Eazy-E, Eric Wright, and I think it had an angel on it. But I was walking around looking for it, not knowing that it had been replaced. And a security guard saw me, and I was in uniform for my company.
Yeah.
And he said, can I help you? I said, no. And he said, are you looking for someone? I said, yes. He said, what's the name? And I didn't want to get busted for looking for Eazy-E. So I gave him my ex-girlfriend's dad's name.
Oh.
And he said, oh, you're in the completely wrong section. And he took me to go to my ex-girlfriend's dad's grave. And I was like, please don't be there. Please don't be there. And I just went, and I visited.
Wait, the security guard just randomly knew where that grave was? This is huge. This is such a big cemetery.
He communicated with his walkie to the main office.
Gotcha.
And said, hey, we have somebody looking for this guy. And
nice of him. Why didn't you want to say you were looking for Eazy-E?
Because I was in uniform with my company.
So you didn't want to be like a celebrity grave hunter in uniform.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. And if I had said that, I wasn't sure if he was going to be like, I'm not allowed to give you that information.
Right.
Or if you're a tourist here, this is a cemetery. Please see your way out. You know, I didn't know what was going to happen, so I just rather had avoided that. And I instead awkwardly went to go visit my ex-girlfriend's dad.
Were you together at the time, or was it your ex at the time?
No.
So that was a fun little detour. By fun, I don't know what word I really mean, but yeah. Confusing detour, like unexpected detour.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the worst part, I said that it was my dad. So I was just thinking, like, please don't be there. This is going to be so awkward.
Oh, man.
And that was because I came to visit Eazy-E.
What a twist and turn. What an adventure. But sometimes, I mean, look, I'm gonna vouch for you. Like, sometimes you gotta lie and say people are family. I've been there in the last video, actually. I have an Uncle Craig now, and very happy because I don't have any family in general for the most part, but especially in California. So I'm an uncle now. But yeah, that's so wild. I'm actually a relatively big fan. Like, I don't know
Really?
all the deep cuts, but like I do really like 80s and 90s hip hop, rap, all that stuff, and. Like, I definitely saw Straight Outta Compton in the movie theater, and my friend didn't know his story, so when he got sick, she's like, is he gonna be okay? And I'm like, no. Like, no. But I'm a big Ice Cube fan, too. I saw Ice Cube a couple years ago with Snoop Dogg and Bone Thugs.
That's really cool.
It was a great night. I had so much fun. A lot of people don't realize I actually really do like rap music, because I'm such a punk, post-punk, metal, indie kind of girl. But
I
I'm
didn't
like,
see this coming at all.
yeah, I wear like yellow 70s prom dresses. Like, no, but I'm weirdly into like a lot of that stuff, and I don't know, this is a big one for me. It's interesting that he's here though, because like they were from Compton,
Yeah.
and like that's not like terribly far, but it's not close from what I can gather, and you always expect people like this to be in like Hollywood Forever or something. So this is like a beautiful cemetery. I'm actually really loving it, but it's so random for, in my opinion, that he's here. I don't know if you feel that way, but
I mean, when you think about it, I would have thought Inglewood Cemetery,
and I love that one too. That's such a pretty one.
but you know, I have no idea. Maybe
Yeah.
just moving on up, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great spot. No disrespect, just a little random, but
That is very shocking now that you think about it.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm gonna say something about his death. Like, he died of AIDS, if you don't know. And what I never like it when people's death, the moral of their death, like supersedes their actual passing. But at the risk of doing that, a lot of people didn't realize straight people could get AIDS at the time that he died. And for him to be like a young straight man who was like famous and black even too. I mean, like, it just really, I think, helped spread the word that this is for all communities. Be careful.
Yeah, he very much could have taken that to his grave, like literally.
100%.
you know?
100%.
He could have let that be a mystery, but instead, like, you mean he came out and said, I have this disease.
Yep.
Anybody can get it. You know, it's not a stereotype.
And he died quick too. Like, it was a fast descent. So I'm so thankful that he and or his family made it a PSA. Not that that's ever the way you want to go, but it's also nice when people don't die in vain.
Exactly.
And I just really hope that he's helped save lives, and I believe he did. So
Absolutely.
because this was, what year was this? 95. Okay, so Magic Johnson already had HIV, I guess, by 95. So he was like the only public figure
Was he?
that was like around, who didn't go downhill. I don't know. It's so interesting that he lived and other people died so fast, but now I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, how'd that work out? Now it's not a death sentence. I know people who are HIV positive and you wouldn't even know it, and they're on a cocktail or antivirals and they're fine, which is good. But some people never even become symptomatic now, which is crazy how much that's changed. And
That's scary.
I want to PSA that, just so you don't stigmatize people with HIV, because that's still a thing. But at the same time, be careful and don't get sick too. Like, I think there's space for a few things to be true. So
Absolutely.
well, may he rest, and thank you for your service, sir. Because big deal.
Easy.
Yeah, rest easy. Got Billy Laughlin, Froggy from our gang.
Yes,
Alex
sir.
is cleaning him off. Fun fact, we literally drove a mile and a half down the road to another gate to get here. This is such a big cemetery. My mind is blown. But yeah, I'll flip the camera over and we'll talk about him for a second. This was a sad death. We were talking about the Little Rascals, our gang, near the Loud Fountain. And yeah, I was glad we didn't spend too much time on him, because didn't he just get like hit on his like paper route or biking or something really sudden and tragic? Like, he was like 16 or 17?
16 years old. He was helping a friend with a paper route, and they did a U-turn and they were hit by a truck, and it wasn't their fault.
That's right.
And his friend survived. He didn't. You know, he was he was one of my favorites, you know. He was my brother's favorite growing up, and you know that always meant a lot to me. Just you know, but he had this very croaking voice that he did to make his friends laugh.
Yeah.
And I still remember the first time I saw him. It was during this episode of our gang called Waldo's Last Stand, and they're putting on a play and they're trying to sell this lemonade, and he's sitting there not saying anything. And they ask him, "You want lemonade? How about now?" And then at the end of the episode, they ask him, "What about now? Why don't you want a lemonade?" And he does this little frog. I'm gonna butcher it. He's like, "I don't have any money, and it's hot in here." And like, just this adorable, cute little boy with this big, gruff voice.
Yeah.
It was the cutest thing in the world, and you know, it was just a thing that he did to make his friends laugh, and I think that's what breaks my heart the most about him.
Yeah, and it's sad too, because a lot of people, we were talking about child stars gone wrong, but he just died in a freak accident. Like, who knows? He could have been the one really successful one from our gang. Do you know what I mean? Or the one that just had a nice normal life. Like, you know, like it doesn't even have to be like he was a superstar, but just like, because I know some people got away, because one of the ones, I forget the name, but the larger one died in like a weird surgery thing, right? Or something?
Yeah.
At like 20 or 24.
Yeah, Chubby had some serious health issues because he didn't grow. He didn't grow. He grew wider, but he never got bigger. So he was like 200 pounds and he was only like 4 feet tall. So he had some kind of, I think, what's that, pituitary disorder?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. So he died when he was 21, but because he was very unhealthy through no fault of his own.
Yeah. And he was on the East Coast, I think, when he left the industry, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was out in Maryland.
Maryland, that's right, yeah.
You know, ever since I put this video out there, a lot of people have come out with their experiences.
That's right, because he went viral with an Our Gang video of like where all and the Stooges too, that was the first one. But now he has an Our Gang on Instagram, so go check him out, link social medias, but yeah.
But the thing that I like the most, and the thing that I love the most about both Reddit and this kind of page that I run, is that people come out with their own stories, and they you know, they take part. You know, when I did the Our Gang one of Darla's tenants, Darla was this guy's landlord, and he came out and said, "Yeah, she was a very nice lady."
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And people come out and say, "Hey, Chubby's buried out in Maryland, Spanky's in Texas," and you know, just people
care.
People care.
That's why I don't think what we're doing is disrespectful. I know that there's some people out there, and I've gotten some comments where it's like, "Why are you there? I have family there." I think that's disrespectful. And everyone can feel however they want to feel. I'm not here to tell someone to not feel that way. I wouldn't personally feel that way if like my dad's cemetery ended up on YouTube. I really would not mind at all, obviously. But like, everything you're saying is exactly right. It's people remembering people, and whether it's through commenters or when I went to Bob Saget's grave, we didn't get it on video because we felt like it was kind of intrusive, even though this guy we met was in the industry and probably would have loved it. But he knew Bob Saget. He worked with him.
Wow.
And like, not like super closely, but like maybe 2 times, and said he was great. And he was just there to pay his respects because he was based in New York and he was in LA for the end of the year or something like that. And it's a form of connecting. It's a form of not forgetting the dead. It's a form of like hearing stories about the dead. Like, I learn stuff through all my guests because I don't know every guest or every grave we're seeing. So I learn through people, and I teach people if they don't know who someone is, and you know, and then we put it on the internet, and who knows what it does from there. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents. That's my soapbox.
And one of the things like that I started with that page, I didn't do it for attention. I didn't do it for clout.
Right.
I did it because it's important to remember. I'll tell you exactly why I started it.
Sure.
When I was out at Calvary one day, I was taking a look around, as I do, and I found Mabel Norman's grave. And I remember just thinking, like, wow, this is an important person. She's the queen of silent film. She took a pie to the face. She was one of the first women to take a pie to the face in film. She was the woman that started the trope of being laid out on the train tracks.
Right.
You know? And I was so excited to show all my friends, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And that bothered me. Because it's like, wait a minute, do you not realize the impact that this person had?
Set the tone for a lot of things in entertainment.
Exactly. And that's what I think. I think people tend to forget through no fault of their own.
Sure.
They just haven't been reminded. You
Yeah.
know? So when I go back and I visit graves of people that have had an impact and people don't realize it, like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but people go, wait a minute, that's where that came from? That's crazy. And, you know, like, and then to know that something that means so much to you is so close to you. One thing, like you could just get a picture of this. This is Chris Cornell. He's the lead singer of Soundgarden, but he was my favorite musician growing up, right?
Okay, good choice.
Thank you. I was a big fan of his. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to sing just like him. And then when he died in 2017, it hit me to my core.
Sure.
And to know that he is a 30-minute drive from my apartment and I can go pay my respects, that to me that was so important.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's say there's Eazy-E, right? What if he inspired somebody and they don't know that he's a 20-minute drive away?
Yeah. No, because you're bringing up a really good point, because a lot of people don't think to go to graveyards because it's morbid to some people, to most people, I would say. But doing stuff like this on the internet not only normalizes the death as a life fact, but it also is like, hey, if you care about someone, you can go visit them, potentially in your neighborhood or when you're in town or whatever. And it's a cool way to spend an afternoon. It's not creepy and sad necessarily.
Absolutely. This place closes at 5. I won't be here all day.
Nope. You don't have to be here after dark, you know?
I'll tell you this. My dad's 72, right? And he grew up during the 60s and 70s where death just happened so often. Like, was it Kennedy, Monroe, and just, he told me before I ever started in the industry, I asked him one time, I said, how did you deal with all this shocking news one after the other? And he just told me, you know, I grew up at a time where people were just dying left and right, and you just, some days you said, I wonder who's next, you know? And so he was very traumatized by death for a long time. So when I started working in the industry, he didn't like it. When I started going to cemeteries, he really didn't like it. And just one day, I said, I'm gonna win my dad over. So I used to show him these pictures, and he used to tell me, stop sending me these. So I said, Dad, take a look at this. And we grew up listening to a lot of classic rock, a lot of old school music. So he goes, Ellen, Naomi, Cass Elliot, and I just saw his face light up and smile, and I knew that he gets it now.
You got him.
He gets it now.
And that's the thing. I think it's kind of, if you can't beat them, join them type thing. Maybe not literally, although we all will. But I mean, like, if you just lean into the fact that this happens, it diffuses it a little bit. It just sort of makes it a little more digestible.
Absolutely. And the thing that I like to take away from cemeteries too is, look at all these headstones, right? Sometimes there's just that last piece of wisdom that people give to you, right? Like family first, or, you know, just one of my favorite epitaphs that I saw recently. I was leaving Hillside, and there's one that said, what a wonderful party it was. You know, just that one last little quip of, you got me. And, you know, just that last wisdom that people pass on to everyone else before they go.
And they did it for a reason. I was telling you off camera when I went to Forest Lawn recently, Earl Carroll's grave said, in life we weep about death, maybe in death we weep about life. And that hit me in so many feels. And I'm obsessed now. So people had something to say. Let's see what they had to say in cemeteries. So.
And the thing is, you can open up social media and you can see inspirational quote after inspirational quote. What if it was on your headstone?
Yep.
You know,
way better than me.
You have to really mean that, right? To put it on your headstone, you have to.
It's not performative.
Yeah, you can't change it later. Yeah. Right? Somebody have to change it for you. Your last thing was giving this to the world. You know, and you don't see that anywhere else. You really don't.
No, you don't. So cemeteries are important. Take it from, you know, a funeral director and a weirdo obsessed with death. Well, may he rest, because that's just so sad. So young, so much promise.
Really?
We remember you. Okay, we just climbed a big hill. I'm out of breath. We're at Dennis C. Stewart. Grave. And if you don't know the name, that's okay, because I didn't offhand, but he was crater-faced in Greece.
Leo crater-faced Balmudo.
And we had a whole conversation in the car because I was like, I didn't know he died. And then I was like, oh wait, he died of AIDS. I did know. So this is our second internment who, unfortunately, right around the same time as Eazy-E, about a year before, who passed of a disease that was still very, very, very misunderstood and definitely undertreated because we didn't know how to treat it, you know? Just so sad. That is like one of my biggest fears of dying, not necessarily of like AIDS, but like of something that would have been like a generation or two from now.
Yeah.
Would have been no big deal. Like even Rudolph Valentino died of like complications from an appendicitis.
Yeah, that is
you
scary.
know, and it's just like, just give it a little bit of time and that never would have happened. And
Exactly.
so dying when you didn't have to, just by a little bit, like if it's 100 years before, it's still sad, but like if he got AIDS or HIV even 10 years later, he probably would have been fine.
Absolutely. That's the tragic thing, because
It's very tragic.
all these people that like the if I'm correct, the phrase "kick the bucket," that's from when people,
Yeah.
there was somebody that kicked the bucket, their toes broke and got infected and they died, right? Like,
Oh, is that where that's from?
I think so.
That sounds right. I don't know if I've heard it that way, but that's got to be it. Those expressions always have a weird meaning like that.
Yeah, like I do remember, like on an episode of 1,000 Ways to Die, yeah, like, a guy kicked his safe because he couldn't open it, and then his toes broke and got infected, and he got like a staph infection from it.
Oh, staph infections are no joke. Oh my God.
But
So
you know,
scary.
it's treatable too, right?
Yes.
It could take your life if you're not careful, if you don't treat it. But
Or
you
if it
have-
gets mistreated, because a lot of times people think it's a normal infection, and the way you
Exactly.
treat. My dad had a lot of staph infections, so he did not die from them. But yeah, he almost did, I think, once, because he was being treated for a normal infection, and that's the worst thing you can do for a staph infection, or at least in the 90s it was. So.
But yeah, poor guy. Like the
No.
thing that when I researched him, what I found was that he wasn't this biker tough guy.
Oh, interesting.
He wasn't. He was a dancer.
Makes sense if you're in Greece.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. People like he did that character so well. He had that scowl. He was very
Yeah, he was
intimidating
great.
looking. But
Iconic.
yeah, and he was a dancer, you know, because when I looked him up, I didn't find a whole lot of acting credits. I found a lot of stage credits, and he was a dancer for the Beatles. I believe it was Sgt. Pepper Lonely's Hearts Club. He
Whoa.
was a character. He was a background dancer, and
Cool.
I found this old video of him on the show. I think it was called Angie, and the episode was they went to a dance studio, and he was the teacher. He had like these tight jeans on. He was like, "All right, ladies, move those hips." And it was the cutest thing ever. And it's just, people take him to be this scary biker because
that was his most famous role, probably.
exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, did you ever watch Grease 2?
I didn't, actually.
I don't blame you. From what I've seen in the clips, I was like, how is this a thing? But also, he came out like way more hardcore evil.
Oh, he was
one.
in that one too?
Yeah,
Okay.
he reprised his role as Craterface, and he had this leather jacket that was like studded out with spikes and everything. He was scary in that. He was very scary looking, but he wasn't scary. He was a dancer. He was just this smiling, happy dancer, you know, and that breaks my heart too, because I wish that people would have been able to see that about him, right?
That's the thing too. I also think about people dying before, like, the internet. Or I know a lot of people think social media is a double-edged sword for celebrities, and I don't disagree. But like, you do kind of get to know the real them, and sometimes the real them is worth knowing, or at least is more interesting than even like the roles or whatever. So it's interesting because we're in a time where we remember life before the internet, the way it is at least, and we have seen what the world has become. And you think about people who died in the 90s or in the 2000s before things were documented, and there's not as much information about them, and they're kind of forgotten, and it's a whole thing, you know. It's just so much of our life is arbitrary based on how we're born, when we're born, where we're born. It's wild. And how we die when we die.
Absolutely.
It's just so much of life is not in our hands. So I appreciate you reminding me that he was here, because I think that's a name that didn't jump out to me. I probably saw it at one point, but it's been such a weird couple of years for me that everyone that watches knows my memory's not great, but it's been extra kind of soupy. And this is also hard to find. I'm so thankful. I was telling Alex that he's doing this cemetery with me because it's a monster. My God, it would be a repeat of Mount Sinai when Cozy Orland and I just found Mama Cass. Yeah, but it's just, thank you for sharing, because that's what we were talking about, Froggy's grave, like remembering people for who they are. So I appreciate learning more about him right here, right now.
Of course, and the thing is, like, I think finding his grave was probably one of the ones that I'm most proud of, because when you're into cemeteries like we are, you know, there's certain people that jump out at you when you hear Rose Hills. People go, oh, Tommy Lasorda, Eazy-E, the Yellow Ranger. And, you know, I remember I found all of those graves and I paid my respects, and I was going down the list and I said, who's Dennis Stewart? And when I found out who it was, I was devastated, because Grease is such a cult classic film. It really is. Right? It's everyone's favorite film. All my sisters, they go crazy for Grease. My mom goes crazy for Grease.
I like Grease, and I'm not even a big musical girl. Like, it's hard not to like. It's fun.
Yeah, but I remember I had this teacher that she would show us bits and pieces of Grease while we were just going about our day.
Nice.
And, you know, it's like, you guys know that he's right here, right? You guys know that you can pay your respects to one of your favorite musicals, one of your favorite movies. He's here. And, you know,
he was probably one of the first to go from the cast too, I would imagine. Yeah,
and it was just very important to me to be able to share with people that he is here. Yeah. You know, and I think that's the thing that people have been surprised by the most. The fact that this piece of really iconic cinema history is here. You know, everyone remembers the race under the bridge. Everyone remembers the dance contest.
100%.
You know? That's the thing.
He's the big rival of the big plot foil.
Exactly,
you know.
Exactly. You know? He's the villain in Grease.
He's like, because everyone remembers the iconic 10, like the 5 girls and the 5 guys,
exactly.
But he's that, and like Eugene and Patty Sinclair, they're all really important to the movie too, like super important. So. And Grease is the thing that just will never die. I mean, they did the live musical some years back on TV, and there's always like they did Pink Ladies at the show. Like, it's a cockroach. Grease is not going anywhere.
And he knew that he was a big part of history too, because his epitaph says Grease is the word.
Which is awesome. I love it.
He was obviously very proud of what he was able to produce. And
I love it. Own it. Own it.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Well, may he rest. Sounds like he's with his mom, which is comforting.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, I know we lost Kinnicky some years back, and we lost Olivia Newton-John. Was it in the past year?
It was like within the past 2 years. I believe. So I hope all the others stay alive for a long time, because it is iconic, and I'm not ready to live in a world where all the actors from Grease are dead. I'm just not. It's selfish of me, but I'm not ready. Exactly. I think Rizzo's still doing.
I love Stockard Channing so much. She's one of my favorite actresses. Like, I love her.
She's still doing cameos, right?
Yeah, she's still a working actress, as far as I know. I haven't seen her pop up recently, but I also don't watch a lot. So, but I know at least in the past 10 years she's been around. So,
for $200, you can purchase a 2-minute video from her on the app.
Oh, Cameo.
Yeah.
200, wow, that's a lot.
No, you weren't late.
I guess, hey, fair enough, not complaining. Just I know some people are 50, so.
Absolutely.
But, hey, good for Stockard. I'm a big fan, so I'm not complaining. But, all right, well, may Mr. Dennis C. Stewart rest, and thank you for entertaining us and dancing.
Grease is the word.
Oh my God, it's the Rainbow Mausoleum. This is cool. This is already one of my favorite mausoleums. I just like the nice seated chairs. Nice little courtyard. This is a huge cemetery. It's almost too huge, but this is so pretty. I'm also not mad at the cemetery. Like, sometimes these big cemeteries, I'm like, okay, enough. But this is has a lot of different parts with distinctive different features, so not mad at it.
I didn't discover this until maybe my 15th visit.
Wow. Well, it's big enough. I can see why.
Yeah. To the point where like you said, it's so big that you still find stuff and you're like, what? You've been here this whole time.
This is secretly the nicest cemetery. I feel like everyone thinks Westwood or the Forest Lawns, but what? Wow. Like, what? Like, there should seriously be weddings here, not just funerals. Like, holy moly. We're gonna do so many photos before we leave. Oh, okay, this is where we parked. Okay. I thought this was just like a big terrace, but it's the parking lot. I'm a dumb blonde sometimes. This is insane. I feel like we're in a Disney movie suddenly because they're playing classical music.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
So, like a Fantasia scene.
Which is my favorite Disney movie because I'm the weird girl. I love it. This is my wet dream. Is this what you said this was haunted possibly?
Yeah, I have friends that work here. Oh my god, the light change here just really did me in. But I have friends that work here, and one told me that
You're being locked in.
I'll start crying, I swear. But I have a friend here that told me that 2 maintenance guys have been found passed out on the floor after they saw a woman with a black veil.
Do you know if it was after hours or at any old time of the day or?
I have no idea. I can ask him. But when I came here the first time, I came with my head down and I closed my eyes because she can't scare me if I don't see her. Right?
I love that you're in the death industry and you're like, I can't look.
Oh no, like if you follow my stories on Instagram, I don't do mausoleums alone. Like
yeah, that's true. You have said that.
I freak out so bad.
I love this mausoleum actually. I'm not creeped out at all. I want to like be buried here. This is my first. Look at these beautiful doors. Like you can leave anytime. See, it's not scary. These bookshelves of urns. So tall. It is so tall. This is insane. Thank you for showing me this. This is amazing. This is easily one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Even the furniture is nice. Sometimes they're just boring old, chairs, but this is beautiful. I would own this if I could. Okay, I get why Alex was a little creeped out because we're gonna go to the Darklands now.
I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills. I don't do well in scary mausoleums, man.
Oh man. What would you do if you saw the lady with the veil?
Oh, I pass out.
So it just ends? Oh, it's a little anticlimactic, but yeah, this is from afar. Looks like we're just going into a creepy corridor.
This is like that one really bad part of Disneyland.
Which part?
Like the old, where all the rides are scary.
Oh. Which rides freak you out?
Pinocchio.
Oh, the dark indoor rides, you mean?
God,
yeah.
It's like all the low lighting and all the dark background.
Snow White.
Yeah.
That stuff. I got you. We're on the same page. Totally. Okay, so this was great. Like this is, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. I always feel differently than I think when I leave a cemetery, but I have the feeling this is gonna be pretty highly ranked for me. Like,
really?
And I'm gonna be gone for a few months, but this is one I want to come back to, even just for personal reasons. Like, 'cause I think we hit all the graves that I wanted to see at least. So I don't need a part 2, but just with friends for photo ops, for a picnic, for walking around, showing them. Like it's pretty far away, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, most beautiful mausoleum I've ever seen. And if you know
I agree.
You know I'm terrified of mausoleums.
But like that's saying something because you've seen all the mausoleums, and most mausoleums are actually pretty epic. And this one's pretty up there. It even has with classical music, which on the wrong day is creepy, but for now it's fine. But what do you think? Just because my last video you know, I went to a private mausoleum that I couldn't do footage of, and no one could visit. Do you have strong feelings? Because we've talked a lot in both episodes, I think, about being remembered. And it's like, how do you feel about locked away graves or elitism in death, or like, because that's like the new, I've always been talking about privacy and respect ever since the beginning of the series, but now this is like another thing I'm focused on, where it's like, locked away for eternity. Is that even a good idea?
I think a lot of it really comes down to personal preference. So, you know, you gotta understand how we have celebrity worship now, but back then celebrity worship was like to an even more rabid, like, kind of level.
Well, it was more exclusive, I guess. They didn't give as many interviews. There was no social media. Even the tabloids weren't what they are now.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
And to be bombarded, like, in every ounce, because sure, I could turn on my phone right now and I could see Bella Hadid, right?
Yeah.
What if I couldn't? What if it was just a matter of coming out on TV or an interview, and then all of a sudden she's right there in front of me for the first time? People weren't used to that, and
that's true.
You know, needed as such, they needed privacy, they needed seclusion to just take a breath, right?
Yeah.
So to that I understand, because even more so back then, likely people felt like they needed a piece of this.
That's true.
Right? Like, you think about how many times John Wayne's headstone was stolen.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've been there. I've been there too.
Yeah, it's a very nice cemetery. He has a very nice headstone. It's been stolen at least twice. So
what's a headstone? Like, I'm a creepy girl and I don't want a headstone. So like, why do you want a headstone?
You know,
headstone stealers.
Yeah, and if you're a beautiful starlet like Lauren Bacall, you know, you never know what psychopath out there wants to steal your urn, right? You think about how many, because it's. You get the security on the wrong day, they take a little bit of a break, somebody comes out with a star screw, and then a couple minutes later, that happens, right? So
I guess it's true. It's just so funny in this day and age where there's so many videos, like cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
But what about the people who are not famous locked away though? Like, that's the other part of the puzzle, because it's harder to like prove that you knew someone if you wanted to pay your respects. Like, that was my whole thing. Like, what if I wasn't family but I was a friend? That's
the very interesting thing, because whenever I visit, well, the one time that I got into the Great Mausoleum, I was taking a look around. I was like, not everyone here is famous.
It's big.
Locked away.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why it gave me such a sad hit.
Yeah, but there's just a part of me that thinks, like, what made you want to be here? You know, what in your life made you want to be here? And then, to me, that's just the mystery, because it's not necessarily that they're an actor or an actress.
No.
Maybe they were maybe they were wealthy. Maybe they were criminally involved with something. Maybe, you know, this and that. Just, I am so curious about it. And the thing is, I think about things like Humphrey Bogart being locked away, right? We, as fans and as cemetery, you know, purveyors, we explore, we enjoy that, right? But what about when there's nobody left to visit, right? You got what you wanted,
right?
And you're locked away, and your history is slowly
gone,
thinning, and, you know.
Well, they say second death is when everyone you knew died, or everyone who knew you dies.
Exactly.
So like Marilyn Monroe has not really had her second death yet.
Yeah.
If you will. But a lot of people in that terrace in the Great Mausoleum have.
Mm-hmm. And I say this with respect, but like in the Great Mausoleum you have Red Skelton, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea who he was until I looked him up, until I watched a Hollywood Graveyard video on him, right?
Right.
And now he's in a secluded section, and he's had his isolation, he's had his private mausoleum, but now we don't get to celebrate that memory. We don't get to celebrate his career.
Right.
You know, we don't get to do all those things because of this kind of seclusion, right?
Yeah.
And I would like the opportunity to go and pay my respects, but we don't have that.
It's like, when does it become private or public domain?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, look, I haven't talked about this a lot, but like, I have a friend who's on meth who thinks I'm in his house all the time. And it's really sad. He was not on drugs when I left the town that I knew him from, and took me very by surprise when I figured out why he was calling me so much in the middle of the night. And he sent me a text one of the last times I heard from him. It's been a while, knock on wood. Hopefully he's doing better. But people have already tried to intervene, and it's like a lost cause right now until he chooses. But like, he sent me a text that implied he could find my address. And he's not in California, and I'm not even gonna be in California for a while, so I'm gonna be a vagabond. He can't find me, I'm gonna be moving Target. But it's like, that's weird that like we don't protect the living, because our addresses eventually end up on the internet no matter how much we try to scrub them, but we protect the dead so much. Yeah. Whether it's people saying don't, take pictures of graves, or whether it's people being literally locked away or anything in between. So yeah. I have questions, I think is what it is, and it's not entitlement, it's just like, make it make sense. Yeah. I'll follow any rule if it makes sense, but I don't think some of these cemetery rules make sense.
Yeah, and there's twofold to that. It's one, you are in a dangerous position, right? You can move. Yeah. You can move. You can protect yourself. You can do what you can. It's a dangerous situation, but you can still do all that. When you're dead, you can't.
Yeah, that's true.
You're stuck. You are not able to protect you. You're not able to do anything. Yeah. It is up to us that work in the cemeteries to do that for you.
It's true.
And it's up to us as human beings, as decent people, to know better than to do such. Yeah. Right? There's everyone says have respect for the dead, and it's the same thing. Whether it's a spiritual, obligation, maybe you're afraid of being cursed, maybe you're afraid of ghosts, or what may come of the disrespect. You just don't mess with or disturb the remains of people.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, if it's their final wish to be locked away for all of eternity, on one hand, I do respect it, but I'm still a little confounded by it. I think
trust me, I get it.
Because it's I did clock when I was in there just how old some of the graves were. I'm like, there's no way these people are remembered, and that's what made me sad.
Yeah. Like, it's twofold, because I look at Hollywood Forever, and one, the first time I went, it was very beautiful to just be able to see how people are being celebrated, how people come to pay their respects, how people, are given the opportunity to let them be remembered. But on the other hand, sometimes you go and you know what it is, right? Some people treat it as a museum. People treat it as a medium for their social media. Yeah. Sometimes people can be disrespectful. I've seen I've seen the attempt to pay respects go wrong.
Sure.
So it's that you have one end of it where it's a little bit too extreme, and then you have the other end where they're completely off.
Yeah, it's a Goldilocks situation for sure. There's got to be a middle ground, but we haven't figured it out.
Exactly.
I think is what it is. Thank you. Yes. Well, that's a great way to end this. So thank you so much for doing this again and showing me this, because this is a beast. This is a beast. So thank you for being my personal tour guide, because I'm too dumb to figure this out on my own. I already know this. I'm smart in a lot of ways, but not smart when it comes to looking for graves, which is unfortunate given this is my show.
Thank you for having me.
This is Alex, the Cemetery Seeker. I'll link his social media. We got Lady Grimmy, and I'm Lauren-Blair Donovan, and stay alive until next time. Bye.